No, this is absolutely true story. This kid Moses had a dream, and in the dream he watched everything happen. Everything in every universe as pictured from Earth. He watched it as stars forming in the night sky, some brighter than others. We'd figure out later that those were planets.
It was a true story?
Yep.
So he's real, right?
He was a long time ago.
Yeah. Tell me more, okay?
Okay. Moses watched in his dream. He had the best dream I think there's ever been had. He watched the beginning. He watched everything from that first as light appeared. All he saw was light. That's how bright it was. And then he saw the darkness change. Like, he saw darkness and light, the moon in our sky, the sun over us.
What's next?
He watched humanity decide to eat an apple that he told us not to eat because we didn't need it, because the apple was the knowledge of good and evil. And once we had eaten it, we couldn't get rid of it. Like, we would always know that it existed. But he watched humanity, but he gave humanity a choice, because choice is important. He put them in the most beautiful place in the world, and he gave us a choice. And we chose that we actually wanted the knowledge of good and evil. And we bit into that apple. And we felt something for the first time that anything has ever been felt.
Did it become evil?
No.
Did it become good?
We felt ashamed. We felt ashamed of what we had done. God had told us not to eat that apple, and we ate it. But he needed to give us the choice. We could choose to eat that apple. We could choose to believe that we needed that apple. And we have spent the rest of our lives trying to forget the knowledge we gained that day. When we bit into that apple, we learned shame. We felt ashamed that we were naked. We were just standing there in the garden all naked, and we were ashamed. So we hid ourselves. We hid ourselves from God. We hid ourselves from God because we were ashamed. And on that day, he made a plan.
He's naked.
He made a plan to teach us. He made a plan to teach us that we didn't need the knowledge we gained that day. We can give it back. We're always going to know it. You're never going to get away from it. But you can choose. You can choose to not need it. And he made a plan to prove it. And he knew that in order to make that plan happen, he was going to have to die to get us to believe that we didn't need the knowledge we gained that day, the knowledge of good and evil. Nope.
Like this. Like this.
Yeah. And we were ashamed that we were naked.
Yeah.
That's so silly. It's the first time So here, back to the main point. It's the first time in all of creation that something had been ashamed of what it was. And it's a feeling we don't need at all ever again. The knowledge of good and evil that we gained that day was shame. So every time you felt ashamed of who you are or something about yourself, if you think you're too young, you're too old, you're too wrinkly, you're too... anything bad that you've ever thought, he made a plan to teach us that we didn't need the first thing we ever learned. We didn't need shame.
We didn't?
Nope. We chose that day when we picked that apple, and he gave us a choice because he knew that in order to truly be free from shame, we were going to have to believe him. And the only way that he knew to do it was to do a bunch of miracles, like fire from the sky, the Red Sea parting, like famines, like just weird things, frogs, blood in the river from volcanic. Like he made a plan that was so elaborate that remnants of it would still be remembered and spoken by people. He did so many weird things, and he wanted to teach us that we didn't need the first thing that we ever learned, and that was shame. And then he was born as a baby.
Again?
Yep. No, did we already cover the baby in the story part?
Yeah.
Okay. No, this is a new baby. God was going to come to earth as a baby. And he was born in the right town, which fulfilled a prophecy, and he moved, which fulfilled a prophecy, and something bad happened before he died, which fulfilled a prophecy, and his whole life was just one long list of fulfilling prophecy after prophecy that was spoken into dozens of it was spoken into hundreds of ears, and dozens of them made it into print. And everything he did in his life fulfilled another one of those prophecies. He was a really smart kid, became a rabbi at an early age. That was like a really smart religious person. Like he studied and knew the whole script. Like he knew the whole thing. Like he just kept on fulfilling prophecy after prophecy. And he had a simple message for us. And that's that we didn't need the thing that we learned that day. When we learned the knowledge of good and evil, we learned shame. And we don't need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Jesus came to earth and he started doing all of these miracles. Things that no one could explain. That's what a miracle is. Like, no one could explain all the crazy things that were happening. People would touch him and be healed of diseases that no doctor could do anything about. Like he could feel the power go out of him. So there's like Jesus felt, I guess, a measurable level of power, because when somebody touched him, he felt it go out and healed him just from touching him, because she believed that if she touched him, boop, that she would be healed of this disease that no doctor could heal. And it happened. It just, boom, happened right there.
Right there? By
Yep.
boom.
So Jesus did all these crazy things, fulfilling all these crazy prophecies. including the one about him dying.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like he died. He was dead for 3 whole days. Because when he came to earth and he told everybody that they didn't need shame, it made people angry. It made people angry because they had held on to that shame for all of those years. And they got mad.
Huh?
And so they had Jesus put to death because that was going to fulfill another prophecy. And then he had to be dead for 3 days, which fulfilled another prophecy. And actually, that one fulfilled like a lot of prophecies. There were a lot of prophecies about him being dead for 3 days. But then after 3 days, he just, boom, he was alive again.
He was alive?
Yep, and he told everybody that he was going to help him out as much as he could and give us the Holy Ghost. And then he went up into the sky saying that he was going to prepare a place for us. A just fantastic place, free of crying, dying, and pain. That there would just be no sadness in heaven. No sadness at all. Can you imagine a world without sadness?
Yeah. I mean, no. I don't know.
What would it be like if you never felt sad? When's the last time you did a thing that you never felt sad about? Maybe a vacation?
No, nothing.
Did you go on a vacation?
No.
No?
You mean a beach? I've been
No,
to
no,
the beach.
no. With your grandparents to the lake house. Did you go to the lake house with your grandparents?
Yeah. I didn't feel sad about this.
Yeah.
I was happy.
You were happy the whole time, weren't you? Because there was just no shame there. It was all silly games and fun.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be. That knowledge we gained that day, that shame, that was the first time we felt sad. Any sad feeling comes from that shame, that knowledge of good and evil.
What's next?
Oh, you're really into the story? Good. I'm really into it too.
Wait, ah! That's the end?
No, it's not. He went up and said that he was going to prepare a place for us that was fantastic. And that all we had to do was believe him. And one of the first big sermons that he gave when he came to the planet was called the Beatitudes. And it took every negative quality that people believed about themselves. If you were gentle, you weren't aggressive enough, or if you were meek, you were weak, or something like that. He took every weak quality and he told them how good it was because they didn't need any shame. And when he came and he gave his message, that people just didn't need shame anymore. They didn't need it. They could do without it. It made some people that relied on shame to leverage it as power very angry, and they had him killed. But because he's God, 3 days later to fulfill like a dozen prophecies, boom, he's back. And he goes up and says, I'm going to create a place, and it's free. I want you to be in it. I created you so that you could be in this wonderful place, this place called heaven. And we don't really know a lot about heaven. We just know it's super fantastic, and you aren't sad there. And that's because everyone in heaven has accepted the truth that you don't need shame. Yep. It makes it really awesome because when we felt shame for the first time is also the first time we felt sadness. But it made some people angry. Because people like shame.
So much.
We use it to control so much about image and respecting ourselves and respecting other people and being good neighbors and being good citizens. We don't need shame. And that is the truth of what we gained that day in the Garden of Eden. We gained the ability to feel shame. And if we stop feeling shame, if we stop pushing our shame onto others, if we stop making others feel shame, that's the place that we get to go to. That perfectly awesome place where nobody is sad. And I'm going to bet my dollars to donuts nobody's going to feel sad because there is no shame up there.
Yeah.
And so all he really wanted us to believe was that he had created us to be in relationship with us. Like he would come every day to talk to us when we were in the Garden of Eden all the time. He would just come and hang out with us and he watched us name all the animals. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
He watched us name everything that came into existence.
Yeah.
And he wanted to be in relationship to us, with us. He wanted to be in relationship with us. He wanted to... Do you know what that means?
No.
Okay. To be in relationship with God is like you're kind of like your relationship with me. I am your dad.
Yeah. Okay,
you came out of me.
Yeah. Okay, can you please finish the story?
Yes, absolutely. Shame makes us angry at other people. Shame makes us angry at ourselves.
Yeah.
Like some people have so much shame.
Yeah.
It's depression. And some people have clinical depression where their brains aren't producing the right chemicals. And so depression can either be chemical or it can be clinical or it can be just a thing you're feeling, even if it's right now. And that every single ounce of that sadness comes from shame. That is the knowledge we gained that day. It has been there in black and white for years. And I don't think people know that all we have to do is let go of shame. Because if we let go of shame, if all of a sudden you just purely like who you are, if you think like you don't have any negative thoughts about other people, because the thoughts that any negative thoughts you might have turn into sadness for the shame that they feel, that they still struggle with. We would all unify as one, helping each other overcome shame. Shame was the thing we learned in the Garden of Eden. Shame is the only thing between you and God. That was Jesus's truth. That little baby Jesus, the second one that was born that did all the miracles, he had one thing to say. You don't need shame. You are good the way you are. You don't need shame on others. They are good the way they are. Others are good the way they are. They don't need shame. And this is my goofy daughter, Kalila. Her laugh is an infectious one and my absolute favorite. You have taught me so much, small thing. Thank you for being my small thing. You are a great small thing.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you. All we have to do is give up shame. And we stop feeling bad about nearly everything, because other people's shame is something that you want to help with. Once you know what it feels like to be free of the thing you learned in the Garden of Eden by choice, because he needed to give you a choice. But once you learn that you do not need to feel the first thing you learned, that is the only thing that separates you from God. It's the only thing. And all he wants you to do is believe it. So you can pray. Have you ever prayed before? Did you pray with Grandpa?
No.
No? Do you want to pray now?
No.
Oh, okay.
Pray.
Well, if you wanted to pray, all you would have to say is, Jesus, Savior, God, I believe I do not need the first thing I learned in the Garden of Eden. I don't need shame. I can believe that truth and then see your goodness in everything all at once. I can choose to believe that. I can choose to believe that. I can choose to believe I do not need shame, that I needed your saving, that I ate poison that you couldn't get out of me. I ate poison that has corroded the world. I ate poison that has caused pollution and famine and death all around us. And I can choose to believe that I do not need shame. And then there is nothing that separates you from him. Like, you're gonna trip up. You're gonna make mistakes because you've been holding on to that shame for so long. But when you give up shame, Kalila, there's nothing that separates you from God. And it's as easy as believing you can do it. All you have to do is believe the truth that Jesus came to preach. All you have to do is believe you can give up shame. And that is the story of Moses' dream.
Wait, what?
Peace. Peace. Peace.